My name is Irfan Wahyudi. I'm the lecturer at the Communication Department. My major is in media, internet, and migration. And I was I'm actually a former head of international program division at Airlangga Global Engagement, the international office at the Universitas Airlangga. So that's why I will have this opportunity as well to share my experience in conducting the programs at the university during the pandemic, especially by taking this advantage on my own knowledge. I will have the opportunity to send some information, also lesson learned about the things that happen, especially in this amazing 2020. All right. I will start my presentation by sharing my screen. All right. Yep. So I will talk about global communication during pandemic from the Universitas Airlangga experience. Right. As we know that on 30 January 2020, the start of the announcement from the World Health Organization that declared that the coronavirus disease 2019, the official name of the disease, is declared as a public health emergency of international concern. Since then, the topic has been covered by the media without interruption in real time for months until now. As we know, there are no days without the news on COVID. But right now, maybe we have the news on COVID and also the US presidential election. That's the same kind of, maybe some of you think that's very disturbing. But yeah, we are experiencing it right now. And it's also become a rapid escalation of the disease and has been accompanied by confusing and often contradictory communication messages, as we know that this is a problem. And questions contributing to the communication chaos relating to COVID-19 range from individual prevention measures, such as effectiveness of masks in containing contagion. Some people say that they didn't believe in the power of the mask, and treatment availability, such as the vaccine itself. And we know that it is not only a health problem, as said by Dr. Francis Rido, that has been published by the New Yorker in April 2020. A pandemic is a communication emergency as much as a medical crisis. And we have this saying that it's not only a pandemic, it's also an infodemic. So we know that this kind of situation happened. Like, we have been divided into COVID-19 believers and non-believers. Some people say that it's a conspiracy theory that makes us believe that this is very important kind of disease. And very much of these discourses happen around that. And about pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine, the thing that happened, the issue that happened long time before the pandemic era. People are believing in vaccine that can cure or prohibit dangerous disease to happen in human body. And some people didn't believe in it by saying that there's no such thing as vaccine that can actually help us prevent the disease. And it's also making many kinds of misinformation and disinformation itself, and we call it as infodemic, where people try to seek many information through the internet. And as a result, they've been like flooded by information that they just don't know whether it's true or not, right? As much as you scroll through the internet about your symptoms, like for example, you have cough, or you have like heartburn, something like that. Can it be related to COVID? And then when you try to search it online, it's just like, okay, it's related to COVID, and then you should go to check your condition, such of things. Many people being stressed about it because of this misinformation and disinformation. And it relates as well to hoaxes, false information, right? And this is very kind of disturbing, and it happened for months until now. And we have also different ways of response that coming from the government and society. As we know, for example, in Indonesia, people tend to see that well, this is how the government try to cope with the situation, but there are some um, disbelief about the work of the Minister of Health, for example, in Indonesian case, or maybe in the US, where the US president himself seems to be not very care about the disease by not using mask or just saying things that maybe try to make people discouraged in reacting to the virus itself. And as a result, I don't know whether it's become a result or not. The number of COVID-19 cases in the US is the highest in the world. And as we know as well, in Britain, for example, they still have the lockdown right now, and in Italy, and because government has their own kind of strategy in handling this pandemic situation, and also the society, there are pros and cons about this, and it still makes people, and it's also being reported by the media through their own point of view. They have some agenda settings that happen. They have this kind of portrait of what should we do and how should we react, and it's actually being portrayed and maybe controlled by the media itself. And maybe the most important situation is about the interaction through the social media itself, where there are warfare of ideas, of ideologies that has been put down. And I'm also mentioning about the chat applications where information spread heavily through WhatsApp messages, through other chatting applications that actually make us not being much informed, but only makes us more weak in terms of which things that I should believe or not. And this situation through social media could mitigate the mental health impact of COVID-19 and lockdowns by maintaining social support during physical distancing, as well as providing health information, telemedicine, and online psychological counseling. Yet social media is also being prominent in spreading negative emotions, rumors, and fake news during pandemic. By knowing about this kind of situation, yes, we know, but are we still use the social media? Something that maybe come into different ways. As the COVID-19 pandemic has evolved, people have relied on social media to connect with one another and to share and consume healthcare information in new ways. The social media have been used to distract public opinion through the media itself and through informations, and also to limit collective action or to stifle dissent. By doing so, as we can see that, well, I have, maybe some of you think that I have this liberty to use social media, I can share any information that I have. Right now, we cannot do that since there are like for Indonesia case, we have these laws that prohibit people of saying as much as they like because they will face a jail sentence, sort of stuff. But this is something that may be coming into rise during the pandemic era, as we can see from this, the discussion on coronavirus from January until September, the one that I have collected, is rising. In September 23, for example, there are 3.6 million coronavirus mentions that people are still talking about it, and it's quite heavier more and more since this is a global situation. Well, social media also containing toxic conversations, right? And research by Reuters Institute found that through their analysis on a filtered data set of about 303 million tweets, which obtained a final subset of 222,774 tweets, especially mentioning the World Health Organization, found that the toxic messages amount to 21% of the overall conversation touching on the COVID-19 pandemic and the role of the World Health Organization in the crisis. In other words, 21 out of 100 tweets in the sample are expected to convey a rude, disrespectful, or unreasonable comment, a high level of toxicity than the average baseline is detected in conversation around political leaders. So this is something that not only from the result of the research itself, we can see that it's not only mentioned by regular people, but also mentioned by political leaders. And this kind of situation is actually very dangerous in terms of people using the social media and sharing the information that maybe they didn't know about the fact or the truth of the information itself. So that's why this is the global concern that actually rising through the pandemic era that has happening until now. Since then, people are trying to figure out what happened then. What should we do? Many businesses, for example, our economy has been like being deficits because of this. At first, maybe on the first 3 to 5 months, since it has been globally spread in January, people didn't know what to do. But fortunately, right now, we are going to make it, okay, we have to fight this. We have to move. It's not something that we should be sit on and just like, okay, this is so sad. I don't know what to do, but it's time to move. And it's also happened to the university level. Through the university scope, I can say that from my experiences for the past 4 years in the international office, where about right now I have been dismissed and I'm back to the faculty. I know that university at first as well didn't know what to do. This is like something that, okay, we need to focus on the health condition of our students, on the staff, and other people surrounding university. So the first thing is about make sure whether the thing has been going on and treated effectively and also in the right manner. So that's why we didn't have to, we are not even think about what about our global recognition, what about our global communications. That's something that should be aside first. But within this situation, the health concerns number one. So we have barriers, we have challenges experienced in engaging with collaboration and also conducting international programs since the pandemic of COVID-19 concerns more on health issue and more intense than before. We have locked the campuses and no more direct interaction. People are suddenly just become, no, you can't go to campus. You have to stay home. And this is something like being a shock for everyone. Constrained physical mobility. But after that, we have to think more on to what things that we can do, right? After several months of like just, okay, being pushed on the health situation, you have to innovate. And this has become a good part of virtual engagement. But first, we have to make sure about the health facility that we have. In Universitas Airlangga, we have health-related facilities such as the Institute for Tropical Disease that has been having its prominent part in research of avian influenza virus and now for the coronavirus. We have also Universitas Airlangga Hospital become the national, what you call it, the national guard for the coronavirus action. And also we have the Unair Infectious Disease Hospital that actually aimed especially for this kind of situation. Unair Dental and Mouth Hospital, Unair Clinics, Health Clinics, Pharmacy, Veterinary Hospital that has been closely related with the research of coronavirus itself. Not only that, we have the Universitas Airlangga Floating Hospital that actually giving access to people who are living in islands, secluded remote islands. As you know that Indonesia is an archipelago region, and also it has regions that very far from the mainlands. And by conducting this, we need to channeling our international programs, right? As we know, we already made the consortium, we already made the partner institutions, academia, staff, and students itself. Means that we already have the foundation of doing that. for my part, me and team are focused heavily on what should we do during this pandemic era. We cannot still stay still and just like doing nothing. And yet we have to submit programs that can actually benefit it both the campus and also international, because our field is on international cooperation. As from this, we have this Amarta program called Academic Mobility Exchange at Airlangga. First, this program aimed as the student mobility, international student mobility. We invited students to come to our place and to actually perform choose units, right, coming and as being offered by the Universitas Airlangga. But right now we have to make this online, means that the wide array of courses offered through online. And in 2020, started in June 2020, the Amarta is conducted through synchronous and asynchronous learning for 1 semester, and it has been continued until now. And this program has attracted students coming that they want to also they want to not only sit down, even though they cannot do the international mobility, but they can actually still doing their online courses. Even though, as we know, like we're now having the symptoms of the Zoom fatigue, for example, we are having too much online interaction through our devices, but it's something that we should do. In spite of this condition, we should move forward. And through another program called Lingua, Learning Indonesian Language at Universitas Airlangga. At first, this is a program conducted by UNAIR and Nanyang Technological University students in 2018-2019. But in this year, we are taking the chance of introducing Indonesian language to international students and affiliations through these online courses. And by surprise, more than 50 students in this semester are joining this class on learning Indonesian language. And it's not only conducted in Airlangga, it's also, we have these centers in Taiwan and also in Thailand. This is the courses that has been performed. Yet we also need to acknowledge that the students need something to do. They need to compete, right? They have something that dynamics happening on their mind. But it has been a basic concern that happened during this pandemic era. And yet we respond through this. Airlangga flattened the curve competition. Flattening the curve means that we should know that it's the number is not rising of the coronavirus positive cases. It should be flattened. So we have this short video, essay, and poster competition. And right now we have the second term of AFCC. It is an international competition which was held in order to curb the spread of COVID-19 through interactive media. And through these competitions, we are hoping that students can join. By the first AFCC in June, we have around 75 participants coming from 25 countries joining this competition. And we are so grateful for that. And we need to make sure that it's also become an important information. Like during this webinar, we also have this Airlangga Global Talk in talking or discussing about many things, because Universitas Airlangga is a place for 14 faculties with more than 100 study programs, ranging from undergraduate until doctorate program. We have this kind of cooperation and webinars coming as well. And we also need to make sure that we've done something for the society, means that is part of our duty as well in the university, to do not only learning, teaching, researching, but also do something for the society. And we have these community outreach programs. At first, we think that, is it something that can be managed? Because we are involving the society, we are involving the community, and we are attracting international students. If it's become an offline course, it will be more fantastic, since they are coming here and then they will go to urban areas where they can interact with the secluded or remote community, for example. But right now, we need to make it happen. And then we have this in August, we have this issue on stunting prevention acceleration, where scholars can actually meet and discuss and do something and actually do the community actions through that by giving not only the recommendation, but also giving the funding for the research, giving the funding for the society to implement the things that has been rising through discussion in this program. And after that, we need to make sure that our international collaboration and networking still happening. And well, it is something that may be odd at first by joining the exhibition like Apple, QS Apple and Maple in 2020, and it's going virtual. And one of the key speakers, actually a robot, I remember through Maple 2020, the robot that has been invited to talk. But it's something like, okay, we are renewing our experience, our virtual experience by saying hi to global partners. And we have to also taking pictures of ourselves and make it as an avatar that people can actually see your face, but they can only chat with you through typing messages. And this is something that also we conduct in terms of maintaining the global communications within the university level. We are not also forgetting about who we are, right? Because we have partners, we have local partners that have actually become, well, we are in this together. So that's why we have this Western Australia East Java University Consortium, where 10 universities in East Java, where Universitas Airlangga located, is having this consortium with 4 universities in Western Australia. By doing this, once again, virtual meeting through this, what we call as East Java exploration, we are having this kind of, well, interaction, not only with WA, Western Australia students, but also students joining this program as well. And something that we are keen to do. And it's not happening before, and it's actually real right now. And through this Asia Technological University Network, we have this online global classroom where in only in 2 months, we attracted around 100 participants coming from different countries in Asia by joining this online global classroom with topics related to the pandemic, like pandemic and engineering, communication and culture, and also innovation and technology and sustainable development goals, where we have classes and discussion through this. So it's something that maybe we try to break the boundaries itself by doing this kind of online communication. We try to seek the new opportunity through the pandemic era. Last, the lesson learned actually coming from what we have experienced, and also during the basic knowledge about what we done during the first time, the first period of pandemic, and then how we respond to it. First point is like we have adapted to the new situation and its online engagement, right? Maybe at first we are not taking too much care about, okay, when we are doing the classroom, it should be offline, it should be on classes where we can meet and relate and connect with our classmates. But something that we cannot do in this time, hopefully next year, but we still don't know about the result, right? Around the world know about what thing would happen in 2021. Hopefully we can resume the situation. But online engagement is very important. As we can see that it is something that we need to do, we need to achieve. And yet we also understand, we also noted about this digital gap, for example, the difference of access from people around the world. Maybe for us that uh, have the ability to access, have the good internet connection, that's no problem. But what about students? For example, in Airlangga, we have different kind of students coming from different economic background. So the government and also the university has this program on helping through the data, internet data help, and also funding for that. But I think that's only one answer, but we still know that there are multiple problems on that. But we also need to taking care of this online engagement, put it as things that we should have appointed in the next years. And we also have this new conception of global mobility, the one that maybe we are not taking care of much. We have this big funding actually for making international students coming to our place. But right now we can actually do this online, and it still can be something that we can do, especially in, for example, arranging the network. I think that's still possible. And it's networking like never before, right? We see that this is something that's very possible, and it's making us more become more adaptive to the situation, since it's something that we know that, well, it is possible for the next future collaboration. We can set a discussion only through online channels, and it can be used as a foundation for our next collaboration. And in terms of the student as well, we can see that, well, you can actually studying from anywhere, right? You can stay at home using your house clothing, right? Not to become more, oh my God, what should I wear for today? Well, okay. But something that you can actually, that's the advantage. But something that may be missing, that you haven't met your crush, for example, your uni crush for a while. So that's why you need to maintain an online communication then. It's also an investment of the future. Like, you have this online meeting, you have these online classes, but you need to make sure that it will be useful for the future. Since you have credits, since you have certificates that you have been collected, and use it as your future endeavor, right? And it's something that very valuable that you can use. And we have to be optimistic that this kind of situation will be changing by next years. From networks, agreements, and learning itself, I think it's the best investment that coming from this situation. Yet we also need to understand the challenge. The last point that I've made is about the challenges that we are getting more dependent on the technology. Something that may be decreasing our humanity, right? Since we are on this social science, we need to make sure that the humanity is not losing. We are still having this empathy that not everything is going through the technology, right? You have to maintain your connection with your family, with your father, with your mother, with your colleagues, everywhere. You need to maintain this. Even though it's not through technology, you need to still say hi. You need to still become a good person, not only as what happened virtual. Because some people just like got attracted to online communications, and also they didn't want to go back to the reality. That's something that maybe we should taken care of, since this global situation is and also global communications is something that can be portrayed as a challenge, as an advantage, and maybe as a setback for us as human. But we shouldn't do that. I mean, we should have this humanity still preserved in terms of this technology kind of situation, as I mean. And yeah, that's the experience coming from my point of view. And we should see more interesting uh, uh, overview or point of view coming from Dr. Abdul Latiff Ahmad. Okay, I resume my presentation over here, and I will give the opportunity to Dr. Abdul Latiff Ahmad. Please.